Welcome to this Zentangle Quickie. My name is Heather Hartwick Gladden. I'm a certified Zentangle teacher, and today we're going to take a look at the tangle called Avreal. Now, Avreal is a line or a border tangle, so it goes in line. Although, you know what? You could stack these up if you wanted to fill in a section, but it's essentially, in a line. So, the first step is we're going to draw two pairs of lines, and they can move. They can be a little curvy, doesn't have to be straight. So I'm going to draw mine just a little bit curvy here. Look at that. Well, that's not so great, but that's okay. And sometimes what I do with these, because there's several that have these two pairs of lines, sometimes I will do one and then do the other, so that way I have the separation, because we're going to be doing some stuff in here, and I say, okay, do I like that? Okay, and then I'll aura on the outside. This is kind of like a built-in course correction, if you will, because I have done this before where it's like, oh, that's a little too close, but didn't allow myself, like if I did both double lines and then did this one, then the only option is, oh, I can go on the outside of this. But if you start off with the inner two, and then you can do the aura-ing, because that way then you can pick which side you want to go on. Just a little strategy, if you will. All right, so we have these two sets of lines. Kind of looks like a river, doesn't it? All right, and then we're going to essentially draw X's in the middle. But what I like to do with this is, find the way I want to hold this right. So you could kind of do a zigzag. This is how I do this one, is I'm kind of doing a zigzag throughout. And then I'm going to come back and cross over it. So that way we have, oops. Oh, that's okay. We have some diamonds that are then created, diamonds and triangles, essentially. And I do this part slow because I want to, just to have a little bit extra control, because I want to have these diamonds in the middle, but whatever shape they end up with, like, it doesn't really matter. All right, then the next step is we're going to put orbs all along here. I like to start these in the middle and then work my way out to the sides. And putting the orbs in here is nice because like I don't have a consistent distance, in this aura here. So I can make up for that, essentially. It is, with the orbs, it just, you don't notice it. It's just, that's just what it is. And it's okay. And kind of adds to the character of it. All right. And then, so on both sides, and I should be going a little bit slower. Now, one thing, here's a trick that I kind of figured out just for myself, because sometimes I have a challenge. Mine are really small. So the way I was doing it up here is right as I'm starting my orb, on the top line and going around. But every once in a while, and especially if I'm going too fast, it's just a reminder of, Heather, slow down. That I'd end up with a gap that I didn't want. But what I found is if I started my orbs on, right here, if you can even see that, on the orb before. So that way, for sure, they're connected. So, and then for me, if I just would go slower, well, see, and then you can still miss things like this, but then we could just add a little something there. All right. And boy, those are small. I'm about to pull out. I'm using an 01 micron. There is one size smaller that I'm aware of anyway, an 005. And it's like, oh, I'm about to break that out. All right, so there we have orbs on either side. And then on the inside. So first taking a look at the full diamonds here that we have. And it doesn't matter where you start. What we're going to do is we're going to put a line up the middle, and then just continue with straight lines throughout just that one side of these diamonds. Now this is where you could kind of have some fun. And because well, let's see. Nope, I could do this now. So I'm going to draw one. And maybe if I do these, okay, 1, 2, 1, okay. I'm going to add in a sparkle, which is a little bit of a Zentangle technique. So as you see, I let my pen skip right in the middle. And I figure if I just do these center ones, that will look okay. So it's essentially, you're skipping a line, or making a skip in your line. You can also, and depending on how big yours are, you could like put a dot in the middle, or a couple dots if you wish. But this is just without adding anything from a gel pen. It's just a way of adding a little sparkle, like I said, to whatever you're doing. And you do it about in the same area, and it just looks neat. And so I figured I'll do those center 4 and then do the rest of these just regular. Now something else with that is, and I've been kind of practicing this just because watching Maria Thomas, on co-founder of Zentangle, on some of her videos, and she just oops, and I need to do this little side here because that half would be, that would be have the lines. I watch how she just has a nice soft touch and lets her pen just kind of bounce along the toothiness of the tile, and it kind of makes that little sparkle, and it's just really, really neat. So a light touch is nice, especially for something like this where it's really small, because then you can kind of get in there fine. And then also with a light touch, it kind of is a little, it's not exact, they're not exactly straight, which is totally fine, to not have them be completely straight. But close together seems to help. Now, next step is turning the tile. And on both triangles that we have, we're going to do straight lines again. Now, I wouldn't probably do the sparkle here. I would probably do it one way or the other, but you can play with that. The nice thing about a sparkle is just like if I didn't like it, I could very carefully go and fill those in. So I'm just, because I like to start in the middle, that's what I'm going to do. Now, here's because I just course corrected, and maybe you noticed. So I had gone over, because a lot of times I don't stop where I'm supposed to. I kind of go over a little bit. And it was about right here. And so I just made sure that, oh, well, there's where I'm going to put a line for sure. So thinking about that, so if there's a place that you kind of went over, just always keep that in mind, as you're tangling. It's like, okay, I'm going to remember that, and then I'm going to go back and, and figure out that course correction if there is one to be had. And then too, by the time you get to the end of whatever you're doing, then you don't even have to worry about it. And again, I'm trying to have a nice light touch, so that way, as my lines might not, if they're not, perfectly straight, it, I don't know, it just ends up looking extra neat because it's light. Then, again, we're going to do the other side as well. And the one thing I do attempt to do as best I can is to have the same distance in between these little lines. Because that does make a little bit of a difference. But, and I am actually following, while they're straight, I'm auraing this curve here. So however this line has gone, and look at this, I've consistently not not put my pen on that line. That's so funny. And well, let's see if I can just squeeze one in the middle there. Okay, well that'll just be what it is. All right. And then finishing this last one up. There we go. And so that's it. Isn't that cute? I just think it's such a neat tangle. It's one of those that looks so impressive and looks like it might be really hard, but it's really, really not. So that's what's fun. Now, for shading, I don't remember that there was any shading in my thing about this, but here's some extra fun that you could do. Now, you could, if you wanted to, you know, put some, you know, some shading in here, but I just want to show you what this looks like. So I'm just going to put some graphite on the outside of this. And I know I've done this on some other tangles. And I'm going rather dark, because this is a fun one that you could kind of, I think they call it like creating like a shadow box type of thing, where it looks like this has been cut out and placed on top of the tangle. And I'm just gonna pull this out a little bit. Now, something that is just occurring to me that I could do too is, if I wanted to, I could put some graphite on the other side of these orbs. I'm thinking sometime I'll have to list all of these kind of things and some of these tangles, and just do, in the comment section, if you think this would be valuable, might just do one on shading, period. But you know, but just taking a look at that, isn't that neat how just all of a sudden it's raised up off of the, you know, off of the tile almost without touching anything. And sometimes I like to do things in stages, so it's like you do it like this, and then take a step back, look at it, and then decide if you want to do something else to it. And just because I said so, I'm going to do this just so that way we can, you know, because some of it I have learned to have fun playing with this, and which comes out of working really hard. Oh, I'm gonna keep that in the camera there. Working really hard on not worrying about things being perfect and all of that. And okay, so I put a little graphite on the other side of these orbs, not as much. I didn't want to go as heavy, and I'm just going to spread this out again, not too far, because the objective of us doing shading is just to kind of make things pop. And when we use the graphite, you know, it sinks things down. And if you're using a toned tile or something where you want to use the highlights and use the white charcoal, that raises it up, and then you can play with that. But that adds some extra depth. So it's almost like, you know, 2 layers. So the whole thing is raised up, but even raised up higher are the set of the rows of orbs. So that's just a couple ways that you can have fun with this. Yeah, and you know, and if you think in the comment section that it might be fun to play with just shading, do a quickie video. I do like doing these quickie videos, so that way, you know, you can just kind of get the information you want and go. And that's good. Yeah, I'll think about it. But let me know what you think in the comments, and also if you enjoyed this tangle. In the description will be the step out for this, as well as ways to connect if you'd like to. I have a nice community going on Facebook, the Tangle Addicts community. Would love to have you join us and show off your work, and you know, and just have fun. So with that, I wish you happy tangling.